Ever get that itch to build something real?
You know something you can actually hold in your hands?
Turns out,
You aren't alone.
you've asked us to dive into the world of metal product assemblers.
And let me tell you,
Researching this has been fascinating.
forget those wobbly IKEA instructions.
We're talking precision
High stakes.
and some seriously cool creations.
You're right.
The blueprints alone had me captivated.
I'm more of a measure twice, cut once kind of person.
To the phrase.
Strictly laid down procedures in these sources.
Really piqued my interest.
And for good reason.
It's not just about putting pieces together.
It's about understanding that even the tiniest error,
Can have massive consequences
we're talking about things that need to work flawlessly.
every single time.
Precisely.
Imagine a misaligned component in an aircraft landing gear.
Or a bridge beam.
That's even slightly off.
Lives depend on the accuracy of a metal product assembler's work.
It's a huge responsibility.
That's a pretty intense thought.
And honestly, makes you appreciate the craftsmanship involved.
So,
It's not just about building.
it's about building things, right?
But where does all this happen?
The sources paint a pretty vivid picture of the work environment.
And I'm not going to lie,
It's not for everyone.
manufacturing plants are the name of the game.
Think large scale.
Potentially noisy and dusty environments.
It's physically demanding work.
There's doubt about it.
Reminds me of the time I tried to assemble a gas grill in my backyard.
Let's just say I ended up with extra screws.
And a newfound respect for people who work with metal every day.
But seriously,
For someone listening who's picturing themselves in this field,
it's a valid question.
can you handle that kind of setting?
It's definitely something to consider.
That said,
The manufacturing landscape is evolving.
our sources mention a growing trend towards automation.
Think robots on the assembly line.
No.
Whether that makes the environment more appealing,
Or sparks concerns about job
there's
security.
another conversation.
Speaking of job security,
That is the million-dollar question these days,
isn't it?
with all the talk about robots and automation.
Is a career as a metal product assembler even future-proof?
What did our sources have to say about that?
It's a question.
A lot of people are asking.
But interestingly,
Our sources suggest this career path
is actually quite stable.
Um,
There's a high demand.
for skilled workers who can ensure that precision we talked about.
Even as technology advances,
So it's not just about having opposable thumbs.
it's about having skilled hands and a sharp mind to go with them.
Exactly.
The human element.
Is still essential.
Our sources emphasize that while robots can handle repetitive tasks
They often lack the adaptability
and problem-solving skills,
of a trained metal product assembler.
so those robots aren't taking over the factory just yet. That's good news for anyone picturing a Terminator with a welding torch.
Not quite.
But it does highlight a crucial point.
Lifelong learning is essential in this field.
The source is
Let's
actually
deeper on this.
saying that a metal product assembler who stays
Ahead of the curve.
by learning new welding techniques,
Or mastering computer-aided design software.
those are the folks who will be most in demand.
Adaptability is key.
So
You're not just learning a fixed set of skills.
you're constantly evolving alongside the technology.
That makes sense.
But let's shift gears a bit and talk about the why.
Why would someone choose this career path in the first place?
What are the perks,
Job security is a major factor.
as we just discussed?
And the sources highlight that on-the-job training.
Is quite common.
You can learn as you go
Gain practical experience.
and work your way up,
You don't necessarily need a 4-year degree to get started.
which is a huge plus for many.
Learning by doing.
Getting your hands dirty.
Literally.
I could see the appeal in that.
Plus,
There's got to be something deeply satisfying.
about building things with your own 2 hands.
Right.
Not your average desk job.
You're right.
The sources touch upon that as well.
There is a certain sense of accomplishment.
That comes with seeing a finished product.
Knowing you are a part of creating something
Tangible.
and lasting.
Okay.
But let's be real.
No job is perfect.
What about the downsides?
Did our sources shy away from those?
Not at all.
They're upfront about the realities of the job.
The starting pay can be low.
The work can be physically demanding and repetitive at times.
And the work environment might not be for everyone.
Right. Like we discussed earlier, it's not all sparks and shining metal.
There's got to be some grit in there too.
Absolutely.
But there's also room for growth and specialization.
The sources mention skilled assemblers can move into management roles.
Or specialize in areas like welding.
Machining.
Or even design,
That's where things can get really interesting.
career-wise.
You've piqued my curiosity there.
The sources did mention these specialisms.
Tell me more about how a metal product assembler can branch out.
Right.
Take welding, for example,
Some assemblers become experts in specific welding techniques.
making them highly sought after for complex projects,
Others might move into quality control.
using their knowledge to ensure every weld meets the highest standards.
So
It's about becoming a master of your craft.
honing in on a specific skill set.
Exactly.
The more specialized your skills.
The more valuable you become.
Some metal product assemblers even go on to start their own metal fabrication businesses.
Now that's what I call building your own destiny.
Quite literally.
From the assembly line to CEO of your own metal empire.
What an inspiring thought.
But let's rewind for a moment.
Back to those just starting out.
What concrete steps can someone take to break into this field?
What did our sources recommend?
Apprenticeships seem to be
A recurring theme,
in all of this. That hands-on experience
often with a mentor.
guide you.
Which sounds
Invaluable.
absolutely.
Yeah.
The sources highlight apprenticeships as a key entry point.
And here's something
Particularly valuable about them,
in this field.
you're earning while you're learning
No massive student debt while mastering skills.
that are in high demand.
That's a win-win.
Right. No need to
Rack up those student loans.
while you're learning a trade that's in such high demand.
The sources also mentioned vocational courses.
How do those stack up against apprenticeships?
They're another great option.
Vocational schools can give you
A more structured learning environment.
a solid foundation in the core principles of metalworking.
Blueprint reading.
Safe.
All those essentials.
So
Vocational schools for the theory and foundation.
apprenticeships to dive into the real-world application.
And practical skills.
Sounds like a
1-2 punch for launching your career.
exactly.
Yeah.
Let's not forget the power of networking,
The sources
especially the ones from the Metal Fabricators Alliance and the American Welding Society,
really emphasize this.
attending industry events.
Connecting with experienced folks.
It's not just about what you know,
It's also about who you know.
the networking.
It's always crucial,
Yeah.
especially in a field where experience speaks volumes.
And speaking of takeaways,
We've covered a lot of ground here.
we've talked about
The precision involved,
the work environment,
the pros and cons.
even the potential to start your own business.
But for you listening,
What's standing out
what's your biggest takeaway from this deep dive?
for me?
It's the enduring value of creating something tangible,
In a world that's becoming
increasingly digital,
the ability to build something real,
with your hands.
to see a project go from blueprint to finished product.
That's a powerful thing.
It is.
It's about taking raw materials,
And shaping them into something new.
something that's going to last.
There's a real artistry to that.
A sense of purpose.
And on that note,
We've reached the end of our metal product assembler deep dive
we hope this episode has given you a clearer picture
of what this career path is all
of
about,
challenges
the rewards,
and the lasting impact you can make.
by building the world around us.
Until next time.
Keep those gears turning.